Well, who's that glitching through the wall? It's Rabbit come to teach us all. So gather around the TV, boys and girls. From Agora Alliance, here to teach you all about science. It's time for Red Rabbit's World.
Welcome to Science 101. I'm Red Rabbit, and this is the first segment in a guide to science builds. All consoles in this guide are easy to attain by purchase from the exchange, fleet, lockboxes, or by crafting. I will first start by explaining AUX and EPG. AUX, or auxiliary, is a damage multiplier to your EPG and AUX related abilities. It has a formula I will put in the description below. EPG, or exotic power generation, is an added boost to this damage, and they function in tandem. One without the other, although functional, isn't recommended. Our main goal is to find an equilibrium between these two, to maximize the potential of both the damage we can deal and the gain we receive to hull recovery, shield recovery, and other abilities related to the two. Now before we get into consoles to use, you need to make sure your power setting is on AUX. This will keep your AUX on its highest setting and will allow you to achieve higher science-based damage. You can do so simply by hitting right on your D-pad until you are highlighting the fourth box under your power setting. These are some consoles that will raise your EPG and EPG damage. You won't be equipping them all, but some of them are pretty much mandatory. We will start with the consoles that you can craft and buy from Fleet. The Exotic Particle Field Exciter. This console is a mainstay of the science vessel and should always be equipped. It is attained through crafting or exchange. The Exotic Particle Focuser. This console is almost exactly like the Field Exciter, but adds a chance at bonus EPG damage when exotic abilities are used. It is limited to a lower EPG gain than the Field Exciter, but can be equipped alongside it. It can be attained for purchase at the Fleet Colony. Now these next consoles aren't as easy to attain as the Field Exciter or the Focuser, as they come from lockboxes or the exchange. The Retrofitted Assimilator is another console a lot like the Field Exciter, with the added benefit of a built-in torp that can assimilate an enemy vessel to fight for you, and is a top-tier console and one of a few that should generally always be equipped. It is attained from Infinity lockboxes or by purchase from the exchange. The Parasitic Ice Containment Vessel is a solid science console. It boosts EPG, projectiles, and cold damage that is based from your EPG. It carries a 50% boost to all cold damage ability. This includes an active ability the console itself possesses, making this console a great addition to any science vessel. Boronite Laced Weaponry comes with a decent boost to EPG with a small boost to control. It also has an ability that causes your weapons to create small subspace tears that cause radiation damage that is based from your EPG. The Micro Dark Matter Anomaly console has a decent boost to EPG and an ability that raises the max power of each power setting by 3 points per second per ship hit by the console's active ability, which in turn raises our AUX and allows our EPG abilities to cause more damage. These next consoles will boost EPG damage and damage in general. They are available from Infinity lockboxes or the exchange. Delphic Tear Generator is a must-have for any science ship between the EPG damage boost of 20% and the damage its ability produces. It is one of the best consoles to outfit your ship with. The Constriction Anchor. Although having an extremely high EPG damage boost, its active ability is lackluster. Hull Image Refractors. This console, in my opinion, is one of the best consoles in-game. Even after being nerfed, its utility is unmatched. Along with its 20% all damage boost, it has a passive ability to apply healing exceeding max hull capacity as temporary hull, as well as having Healing Cloak as an active ability. This console should never leave your ship. Interphasic Instability offers a small 5% boost to all damage, as well as a small boost to max hull. Its active ability is stationary and is best used in conjunction with Gravwell. It is available through the Phoenix lockboxes. The Temporal Disentanglement Suite is a console gained from completion of the mission Butterfly. It has a critical chance and critical severity boost based on your auxiliary power level. This last console is a must-have, as it increases the damage capability of your damage over time abilities. The Torment Engine is a reward for completion of the story mission Leap of Faith in the Klingon Civil War arc. Along with its increased damage over time abilities, it has a 10% chance to cause fire damage based from your EPG that ignores shields, making this console extremely valuable to any science vessel. Although there are many consoles that are beneficial to science vessels, the ones I chose are based from ease of attainment, maximum benefit, and a lot of personal testing in order to set you up as easy as possible and get your foot in the door of the extremely large world of science builds. Next, I will discuss reputation sets and crafting equipment that is well suited for any science vessel, as well as some equipment from the storyline to use for your shields, deflector, secondary deflector, impulse, and warp core. Bear in mind, these are just suggestions for good equipment to use. Which ones you choose to run is entirely up to you. The Temporal Defense Initiative set from Reputation is a great set, either in its entirety or as a 2-piece or 3-piece set, as the set bonuses are perfect for a science vessel. Tilly's Review Pending Modified Shield. This is a great shield to use if you are doing a mix and match build. It has high shield capacity and gives your weapon attacks a 10% increase to damage against enemy shields. Mycelial Wave Impulse engines are also something to look into if you're doing a mix and match build, as you can go with the Tilly shield for the 2-piece set bonus. The Bajor Defense Deflector Array, once re-engineered, has the highest EPG in the game and is a solid choice for any build. It is a mission reward from the New Frontiers arc. Elite Fleet Intervention Protomatter Deflector Array is a potential substitute, as it has a crit chance and a crit severity buff based from hull. The Deteriorating Secondary Deflector and the Inhibiting Secondary Deflector should be chosen based on what science abilities you have or prefer to use. Now we will go over ship weapons and sets that can be purchased, crafted, and found in Reputation. A little side note, since we are science, beam or torp damage isn't our main goal or focus, and is a very small part of the damage we put out. So when choosing what to use, we are mostly looking at set abilities or weapons with damage scaled by EPG. Lorca's Ambition set is a 3-piece set with a stacking crit severity buff and an auto torp that fires on any ship at 50% health or lower. Its console also has a 150 point shield pen buff for weapons. The Protonic Arsenal set, found in the Dyson Reputation, has a torp that creates gravimetric rifts around its target, as well as a special cannon that causes proton damage which very few enemy types have resistance to. This cannon, when matched as a set, has the ability to use fire at will. The set also has a crit chance and crit severity buff. The Morphogenic Armament set is a set given as a reward for completion of the story mission Home in the Gamma Arc. It features a 15% cooldown reduction in all tactical weapon abilities, as well as a stacking crit chance and crit severity buff, and weapon damage buff. Its console also has Polaron damage buff and a buff to all weapon damage in the rear arc. The Chronometric Calculation set is another story-based set found as a reward for the completion of the mission Time and Tide in the Future Proof arc. It has a chance buff of 300 point shield penetration proc, a boost to Ox, and an ability that boosts both EPG and weapon damage. The Breen Cryonic set is a unique set, as it's a cold damage type set, and its proc is boosted by EPG. It also possesses a boost to both beam and torp damage, as well as having a built-in cold damage AoE, and a set ability that causes damage over time. It can be found for purchase in the Winter Event tab in the Event Store. Particle Emission Plasma Torpedo Launcher. This torp is a standalone crafted torp and can be found on the exchange. It is a plasma-based torp that is boosted by your EPG. It is also an AoE damage over time torp that does incredible damage. The kinetic cutting beam is found in the Task Force Omega reputation. It is a unique beam based from kinetic damage that is boosted by your EPG, as well as being an Omni beam. It is another great standalone piece. Now these are some devices that can help you with damage, power settings, survivability, and cooldowns. The red matter capacitor is a device that raises each power setting by 25 and is found in the Phoenix lockboxes. Temporal Negotiator reduces your bridge officer cooldowns by 50% and is gained through the yearly Delta Recruit event. Exotic Particle Flood gives you a 20% bonus to EPG damage and can be crafted or purchased from the exchange. Large Auxiliary Battery adds 100 points to your aux power setting and can be crafted or purchased on the exchange. Reactive Armor Catalyst restores 2100 hull and gives you 8500 temporary hull and can be crafted or purchased from the exchange. Prototype Ablative Genovite Hardpoints is a duty assignment reward from the assignment Develop Experimental Alloys Using Genovite. It adds 100 points to your max hull capacity. Next we will be discussing duty officers, traits, skills, and specializations. And remember, these are just suggestions and should be chosen based from your own personal way of playing and setup. We will start with the duty officers, and there are a lot to choose from, so I will just be giving you a standard bunch based from a science standpoint. Projectile Weapon Officer is a great way for reducing your torp cooldowns. Photonic Studies Scientist helps in reducing the cooldowns on your photonic shockwave and photonic officer ability, as well as adding a chance to cause an additional photonic shockwave. Gravimetric Scientist gives you a chance at creating an additional gravity well or Tychon's Rift. Deflector Officer has a chance at reducing your deflector abilities by 50%. Damage Control Engineer has a chance to reduce the cooldowns to your emergency powered subsystem abilities. Technician reduces the cooldowns on all bridge officers after the use of auxiliary to emergency battery. Now we will move to traits. I have chosen these from the standard ones available from completing the story and available from the K-13 fleet base, as well as from completing the reputation. I have left out starship traits because they require you to purchase specific ships that can be extremely costly. There are, however, ones that can be found on exchange and should be chosen by what best suits your playstyle and your loadout. Astrophysicist and Superior Astrophysicist improve your EPG, Drain, and Perception. Superior Astrophysicist can be found on K-13. Warp Theorist improves your power settings and the rate at which they grow. Fleet Coordinator gives you a 2% boost to damage per member of your team. Efficient Captain gives you a boost to all your power settings at low levels. Point Blank Shock boosts your energy weapons based on how close you are to your target. Elusive makes it harder for you to be hit from enemy fire. Techie or Superior Techie raises your hull recovery and regain rates. Beam Training gives you a boost to your beam damage. Projectile Training gives you a boost to your projectile damage. Operative gives you a boost to your crit chance and crit severity. Thrill Seeker adds a boost to your ship's flight speed. Particle Manipulator is the only trait in this list that you will need to purchase. I have included it because it is mandatory for science builds, as it raises the crit chance and crit severity rating of your EPG damage abilities. It should be the first trait that you purchase. These next traits are for your space reputation and are unlocked by completing the different reputations. There are so many different variations of these that I have chosen to give you the ones that I personally find use in and use on a regular basis. Advanced Engines raises your ship's flight speed and turn rate. Enhanced Rending Shots gives you a stacking crit chance buff for every crit you don't hit. I prefer this to Tyler's Duality. Saru's Grace gives you a stacking damage and ship speed buff based from your control abilities. Tyler's Duality gives you a crit chance based from your max hull. Particle Generator Amplifier boosts your EPG damage. Torpedo Astrometric Synergy reduces your science-based cooldowns. Auxiliary Power Configuration Defense raises your max hull, shields, as well as raising your damage reduction based from your aux. Auxiliary Power Configuration Offense gives you bonus damage and accuracy based from your aux. Chronocapacitor Array reduces all bridge officer cooldowns. Advanced Targeting Systems gives you a large crit severity boost. We will now move to your skills tree. For ease of explanation, I will show you a layout that most science players use, but it is by no means a have-to, as the best layout is the one you feel most comfortable in, that suits your playstyle. Specializations should be looked at the same way as your skill tree, as they all have something to offer, but most science players use a combination of these specializations depending on ship type and playstyle. Strategist gives a boost to shields, but has a crit chance and severity buff alongside a hull healing buff based from threat generation. Intelligence gives you a damage reduction boost, and a crit chance and severity buff when attacking the rear arc of an enemy ship. Temporal is a mainstay of the science vessel, and should always be selected. It gives you a large EPG boost and allows your anomalies to chase targets, reduces cooldowns, and gives you a self-revive from death that triggers upon your death and teleports you to safety while healing you and greatly reducing your cooldowns. Thank you for watching my guide to the basics of a good science vessel. Eventually, I will be adding an advanced guide to help you further. But for now, get comfortable with the basics, experiment, and most importantly, have fun. May your grav wells destroy your enemies before they can destroy you. I'm Red Rabbit, and I'll see you in space.